Okay, let's talk about a problem we've all had. You know the one. That final year capstone project. That portfolio piece you're building to get a job. Or even just a task at work that seems to stretch on and on and on. It feels like it's 90% done, right? But that last 10% takes forever. Well, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and give you a super simple system to get your projects over the finish line every single time.
And hey, this isn't some kind of exaggeration. This is a real quote from a real engineer about a project he started back in college. 15 years. And the crazy part is, the reason it's still not done isn't because it's some impossible task, it's because of one tiny critical mistake he made right at the start. A mistake that I'm willing to bet a lot of us have made too.
So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why do our side hustles, our school projects, our work tasks, why do they all get stranded in this weird limbo of being almost done? For a long time, we've been told it's a personal problem. You know, you're not motivated enough, you don't have enough time, maybe you just need to get better at time management. But what if all of that is just wrong? This right here, this is the most important idea we're going to talk about. An unfinished project is not a personal failure. Let me say that again. It is not a personal failure. It is a systems failure. The problem isn't your willpower. The problem is the system you're using, because it's missing one crucial thing: a clear, defined ending. Think about it. If you never actually define what done looks like, how on earth are you ever supposed to get there?
To really make this click, let's look at a tale of two very different projects. They were made by the exact same person. One of them sat on a shelf for over a decade, and the other one actually shipped, and it's still being improved today. The difference between them, it perfectly shows the power of just defining the word done. So, first, the cautionary tale, an automated model railroad. I mean, the scope was just massive and totally undefined. It was supposed to have everything you could ever imagine: custom controllers, automatic train routing, complex scheduling, even crash prevention software. It was a classic textbook case of feature creep. Every time he worked on it, he'd get a new idea, and the finish line would just get pushed further and further away. Now, let's look at the success story, the micro racer. Just look at the difference in the scope for version 1.0. It drives reliably. The game logic is simple, and here's a key goal. It can be built by a normal person with just a soldering iron. That's it. That was the goal. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't the ultimate version, but it was finishable. All the other cool stuff, like a companion app and better code, that all came later, in V2, V3, and so on.
So what was the secret? What was the magic ingredient? It was just this. For the micro racer, there was a clear, written-down definition of done. It wasn't just a vague feeling in his head, it was a physical checklist. This simple act of writing down what success looks like for version 1 is what separates a project that gets out into the world from one that collects dust for 15 years.
Okay, so knowing the problem is one thing, but how do we actually fix it? Let's walk through a really practical 4-step framework that you can apply to your very next project, whether it's for school, for your portfolio, or for work.
Here are the 4 steps. It's super simple. First, you start wild. Then, you cut, and you have to be ruthless. Third, you define a done list. And finally, you time box it. This little process gives you the structure you need to stop a project from just drifting off into infinity. All right, step 1 is actually the fun part. Open up a blank document and just go nuts. Write down every single feature you can possibly dream up for your project. Don't hold back. No filtering, no judgment. You want your app to have AI-powered laser cats that sing opera? Awesome, write it down. This isn't about being practical. It's about getting all the ideas out of your head so you can see what you're really excited about. Now comes the hard part. You got to go through that wild list and rank every single feature on a scale from 1 to 5. A 5 means it is absolutely 100% essential for version 1 to exist. A 1 is more like a maybe someday kind of idea. You have to be brutal here. The entire point of this is to realize that most of your cool ideas will not make it into V1. And that's okay, because version 1 is about one thing and one thing only: finishing. So now you have your short list of 5s. This is what you use to create your done list. This is where you get really specific. You translate those abstract features into concrete, checkable tasks. So instead of just user login, your list should have things like user can create an account with an email and a password. User can log in with the correct credentials. User sees an error message with incorrect credentials. If you can't put a little checkmark next to it, it is not specific enough.
And finally, you have to give your project an expiration date. Now, this isn't about stressing yourself out, it's about creating what engineers call a forcing function. Deciding that this project will be done in 1 month forces you to make tough, smart decisions about what's really on your done list. Without a deadline, any project will just expand to fill up all the time you give it. It's just human nature.
Okay, so you started strong. You've got your plan, you've got your list. But then comes the hard part, the messy middle. This is that point where the initial excitement has totally worn off, but the end still feels like it's a million miles away. This, my friends, is the danger zone. This is where projects go to die.
During this phase, you have to protect your project's scope like your life depends on it. There is one single unbreakable rule. You are not allowed to add new features to version 1. I'm serious. No exceptions. You have a brilliant new idea in the shower? Awesome. Write it down in a separate document called version 2 ideas, and then get right back to work on your done list.
To stay on track and keep the project healthy, you just need to check in every once in a while and ask yourself 3 simple questions. Number 1, do the features on my done list still make sense for the goal? Number 2, are the specific requirements for those features still valid? It is totally okay to cut things if you realize they're not as important as you thought. And number 3, the tough one. Is it time to quit?
And let's be really clear about this. Sometimes the absolute smartest, most productive thing you can do is to strategically end a project. It is not a failure. It's a conscious decision to free up your time and your mental energy for something that's actually more valuable. Declaring a project done by choosing to stop is a valid and often very powerful outcome. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's put it all together into a concrete action plan that you can literally use the moment this is over. This is how you're going to get your next big idea out of your head and actually out into the world.
Here it is, your checklist. 1. Write a single, clear sentence describing what your project does. 2. Use that start wild and cut method to define a minimal, totally finishable scope for version 1. 3. Turn those V1 features into a super specific, checkable done list. And 4. Give it a deadline. That's it. That is the whole system.
So with this framework in hand, the final question really is for you. Think about that project that's been sitting on your computer, that idea you keep telling your friends about. Now you have the tools. So what project are you finally going to finish?